my name is Vaishnavi. I'm from India and I cleared my NPT in my second attempt while I was still studying my master's in kinesiology here in the States. So I studied my undergrad in India. I did my bachelor's in physical therapy and then I moved here for my master's. And that's where I decided that I was going to prepare for NPT. And I started exploring options as to if I could take any coaching classes. But for me personally, I realized it was difficult for me to follow up with the schedules and everything. So for my first NPT attempt, I decided that I was going to prepare on my own and then see if I could clear it. So that's where I started learning everything on my own. I started watching random tutorial videos, studying from the major books, which are like the Therapy Aid and the Score Builders. But I ended up failing by 30 marks in my first attempt, and that's when I realized something had to be changed. That's when I started asking my friends if they knew anyone who could like help me out. So one of my friends recommended that I join StudyBuddy. That's when for my second attempt I signed up for StudyBuddy, and I talked to Ankit sir. I explained him the difficulties that I was facing. For me, the orthopedic stuff was like the hardest part. Even though I knew theoretical things like at the top of my head, when it comes to NPT, most of the questions are very practical application based. So let's say even though you would know the origin of the biceps and like the insertion, but the question wouldn't directly ask you about the origin and insertion. It will maybe give you a diagram, a practical scenario or something, and then you had to like link up. So for me, that was one of the most difficult parts. And when I started watching the orthopedic tutorial videos by StudyBuddy, I think I improved a lot, just like my theoretical knowledge and also the personal issue that I had, which was just like linking up the thing. Another thing that I would like to mention, before my second attempt, I had a lot of anxiety. And just like 8 days before the exam, I thought I wasn't going to clear it. So I decided I was going to call Ankit sir and ask him if he had any tips for me. And then when I called him and I told him about my scores, how I was just like maybe 10 or 20 points away from like getting the edge pass score. And he made me understand that you could have a lot of knowledge, but NPT is not only testing your knowledge, but it's just a test where you need to get like the bare minimum so you could pass it and then go on to help your patients. So instead of thinking it as like a test of your knowledge, you should focus on just like clearing it so then you could go on and then help like better like than whatever you're currently doing. And I think having that 10-minute talk with him like a couple of days before exam, it really like boosted my morale. And at the same time, he helped me go through my question papers and like my mistakes personally. And then he found out that not only I had like the link up issue, but I also had difficulty with visual questions. Like whenever there was a diagram or whenever there was a picture, I would always get that question wrong. And I was so surprised because even though I was doing everything on my own, I never noticed that. And he like within 5 minutes of going through my questions, he was like, oh, this is what you're doing wrong. And maybe if you practice that, it will give you like better results. And when I did that, it was like I passed on my second attempt and then rest is the history. So I think for me, having that mentor talk, like those 5 minutes, that's really important. So I would recommend like if you are preparing for your NPT journey, it's very important that you have someone like a positive influential figure who is helping you prepare. So because it just makes things better. To those who are preparing for the exam, don't be worried, don't be scared at all. It's just one exam, like how the rest of the exam you took before that has led you to this moment. Good luck with your preparations and all the best.